Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 33 of the UK Cowboys podcast. We are light on crew tonight, so I'm stepping into the very big and large shoes of Mr. Mike Polland, and Graham is filling in of his own accord tonight. Everyone else is away watching Leeds playing football, suffering with man flu, or yeah, I think that's the extent of it. So how are things, Graham? How was the weekend?
A likely story. No. Ready to roll.
Ready to go. Very good. So coming off a 24-31 defeat to the Bears, we have now slipped to 6-7. The Eagles have now joined us at the 6-7 mark. We're still half a game ahead on the tiebreaker. What are your initial thoughts, Graham?
My initial thoughts are, how on earth are we still top of the NFC East? I mean, there are teams in other divisions that would kill to be in our division right now.
Yeah.
Touching on earlier in the early game, first quarter you thought, okay, Patriots, what have you done with my Cowboys? Because we were really good. We looked efficient. We scored on our opening drive. Almost 9 minutes it took as well. It smelt of old-fashioned Cowboys running football. And we made third downs. We got Zeke into the end zone, and we even had a stop inside their red zone, and everything looking rosy. And then it just unravelled. And by the time the fourth quarter comes around, it's too little, too late, which is the story all too often.
Yeah. And just before we start dissecting the whole game, just to give the bit of an injury update. So we've had a couple of moves today. So Cedric Wilson has gone to IR. Mitch Hyatt has been promoted to the active squad, and Cyril Grayson, who I don't think has ever played a snap or a down in the league, has joined the practice squad. He's a punter, returner type player. Can't imagine him getting many minutes.
Nah, it smells of filling the 53, to be quite honest. Just with whoever you can find. I mean, teams are already stretched. We're heading into week 15. It's basically who you can grab off the couch type stuff, and anybody that's had a pulse in the league has been looked at.
Yeah.
Insignificant for me, I have to admit.
Yeah. In terms of the injury report coming out of the Cowboys, we actually don't have anything, or I couldn't find anything before we joined up. So we just still have the same usual suspects.
Yeah.
Jeffy still dealing with a shoulder. Leighton Van Der Esch still dealing with neck issues. A couple of the linemen are taking their kind of veterans days off just to rest up. Probably need to. Sean Lee's taking some veterans days. And again, Amari Cooper is still dealing with injuries. I saw a couple of posts on Twitter last night, and especially after the Eagles and Giants game, that people were suggesting we rest up Cooper this week and actually don't involve him. Manage his load and just let him go hell for leather week 16, 17. Any feeling on that?
No, absolutely not. No. I don't think anybody gets special treatment the way we're playing right now. We as crazy as it sounds, we still have a glimpse of the playoffs. And if we can eke out a win against the Rams, it's going to do wonders, because that way we can afford to lose a game. Still, I reckon if we can get 2 out of the 3, we'll win the division.
Yeah.
Because the Eagles have, in my opinion, have a gimme against the Giants. I think they'll get that result.
Yeah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but I did see Josh McCown's ready to step in for the Eagles at wide receiver.
I saw that one just before we jumped in.
So that'll be fun, but I'll leave that to later in the season. No, we cannot afford luxuries right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Our offense is creaking as it is. The last thing we want to do is start with Cobb and with Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
No, not for me.
Yeah. Very good. So moving on, I suppose, to the biggest story coming out of the weekend, obviously, and it happened yesterday. Poor old Brett Maher. Eventually, the axe had to fall, and we have brought in Kai Forbath, who, in my research, I found we actually signed Kai Forbath 8 years ago as an undrafted free agent, and then released him. So what's your thinking on that one?
Well, either Leeds have just scored, or Jamie is listening to us live. I'm not too sure on that one. Jamie will be delighted. Most of us will be delighted.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, he's the first domino.
Yeah.
He's the first domino. He will not be the last. It sends a message. If you're not gonna step up, you're gonna step out.
Yeah.
He was an experiment. He was an experiment because when you're used to an automatic kicker in Dan Bailey, and then you take somebody off the street and give him his NFL debut.
Yeah.
The enigma.
Yeah.
He will nail 50-yard field goals and he will miss extra points.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're trying to be a playoff team, you can't have that.
Yeah.
And have that. Simple as that. I think I said in the last show that it kills offensive momentum when you put a guy out there to do one job and he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because he did make some cracking field goals from range.
Yeah.
But nah, if you're going to be inconsistent, we can't have you.
Yeah. It's like that clip that they do on a college game day on a Saturday. You have one job. And, Brett Maher's job is to kick the ball between the uprights.
Yeah.
That's all he has to do.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the guy. I don't blame him. I would lay more of the blame at the coach's doorstep. They saw 3 or 4 games ago his confidence was shot. And at that stage, they should have, Forbath, I think, was available at the time. And they brought in guys the weekend after Thanksgiving, and they brought in guys the weekend just gone. God knows where Brett Maher ends up. For all likelihood, he could end up in New England winning a Super Bowl. It wouldn't surprise me. But, his confidence was shot. The coaches should have done something about that beforehand. So, if we jump into the debacle that was last Thursday night.
Just before we touch on that, if you take a look at the Patriots kicking situation, they had Nick Folk cut him, brought in Forbath, cut Forbath, and then brought Folk back, all because he had a weak injury.
Yeah.
Kickers are a dime a dozen at the moment. If your guy's injured, go and get somebody else. You don't have to have 2 kickers on a roster. They're not gold dust.
When you have a good one, you keep hold of them, obviously. They also had Mike Nugent in for a few games as well, and Mike Nugent spent some time with us, what was it, 2 years ago, and he wasn't the worst kicker in the world, but again, Belichick didn't like what he saw and cut him.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, moving on to Thursday night. So, again, we lost 31-24. Was there an offensive MVP in this game for you?
I think Zeke Elliott had a good game.
Yeah.
81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Vented last week. Publicly, that was always going to get out. Had a couple of receptions as well. On the face of it, it's not a terrible offensive performance.
Yeah.
Dak didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
For us to go that length of game and only be able to bring it back in the fourth quarter, you need more.
Yeah.
You need more to keep putting your D out to get the hammering that they got. Didn't help. No secret the defense are struggling right now, and for the offense to go 2 quarters and not put up any points.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to play on the defense in that situation, to be quite honest. You don't get much of a Gatorade break.
None. I think, as you say, like the first series took 9 minutes, 9 minutes out of the clock, 17 plays, touchdown, and then they went 3 and out, straight after that, Yeah. It's just not acceptable from an offensive point of view. And I mean, as we both kind of said before we started, it's nearly the same as the show we did last week when we were trying to come up with our running order. What has happened to our offense? Why are we not scoring? Is it the offensive line? Is it the players themselves? Is it that? Or is it just the play calling? Or is it all of the above?
I mean, I'm a big one for stats. Dak with 334 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. That's a good, on paper, that's a good performance. Yeah. Zeke Elliott, 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michael Gallup over 100 yards and Cook with 80 and a touchdown. It doesn't look terrible. It needs to happen earlier to put our noses out in front, to get us in the game and to get a grip of the game, as opposed to chasing it all the time and going no huddle and rolling out a 2-minute offense and all that kind of stuff. And this is why we're so frustrated. Another game inside the score.
Yeah.
It's not synced at the moment. Yeah. It's not clicking. I really don't know what the problem is, and the problem is that they don't know, because if they did know, they would have fixed it by now. But we're not going to have to watch it for much longer.
Yeah, I'm
afraid to say, because I think overall, how different are these podcasts compared to the first 3 weeks of the season?
Yeah.
What has changed? Their mentality can't have changed. It's not like they're making practice completely different. Coaches are a creature of comfort. They don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with pressure.
Yeah.
The wheels came off after week 3, and nobody's put them back on yet with any great consistency.
Yeah.
It's a really tough question to answer, because on offense particularly, it doesn't look broken. but it clearly is broken when you can go and put so much life into the Bears like that and give them a chance to get an early lead. And we've seen with our slow starts, we broke with tradition and then stopped.
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating thing. See, if you watched the first quarter and went to bed, you'd have thought we'd have walked that game.
Yeah.
And it simply wasn't the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's baffling to me is it's just an inability to put scores on the board, and like that. I think in the last two games we started on offense, we've got touchdowns, and we've proceeded to give up 26 and 24 points. We're just not. Like if it was a rugby game, you'd be saying, kick your penalties.
Oh goodness,
just to keep the scoreboard ticking over, and we don't seem to have an ability to do that. And I suppose like that, we went some way towards remediating it with taking Brett Maher out of the firing line, and hopefully Forbat will be a reasonable kicker. Like I think his career stats are something like 80% from the 40 to 50 range, which is where Maher couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo. So hopefully like that we can start chipping in 3 points, and just like that it at least gives the offense something coming off the field, that we got something on that play rather than we punted or we missed a field goal.
Yeah.
But if we move it on then, so was the Bears defense just that good as well, or did our offense make them look better than they are? Because I think in terms of the turnover battle, we actually won the turnover battle for once. Yeah. I couldn't believe that. Like a defense featuring Leonard Floyd, Khalil Mack. They've some of the better safeties. We all talked about it lead up that. They had 8 interceptions and a lot of sacks, a lot of fumbles. We actually did well in that side of it. So, were the Bears defense just that good on the night?
I think the Bears, they always talk about 85 Bears defense, and it's just something they do. They play NFC North football, particularly in December. They play good defense and get what they can from their offense to win the game. There's a certain element of junk time about our scoring, and 7 points in the first and 17 in the second. So they dominated. To be quite honest, I think in the middle. Without being overly flash, they just got us off the field. They didn't create they didn't cause mistakes from us. They just held. They held their jobs, and they took advantage of a questionable offensive line. That's, in my opinion, is it's arrowed down quickly. Goodness, if a guard or a tackle falls to us in the first round, I'm going to be screaming for him, because I'm getting ahead of myself, but we need some treatment on that offensive line, because that then breathes life into the offense, which gets the defense off the field, and that in itself can paper over a lot of cracks. So They always play good defense, the Bears. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah, I think from what I saw of it, it was very much a case of, we tell offenses, take what the defense gives you. In this game, it was kind of the flip side of that. The defense gave what our offense, or the defense took what our offense gave them.
Yeah.
Which wasn't much, in all honesty.
Yeah.
and it made things a lot better. So if we flip it over onto the defensive side, did you have a defensive MVP, or was it a similar story?
Is that a trick question? Darian Thompson,
Yeah,
Caleb Smith.
Yeah, I struggled myself with it. Again, if you look at stats and numbers and that kind of things, Jalen is probably the standout. Just Thompson with a sack, and was he involved in the fumble?
Yeah, 2 tackles lost as well.
Yeah,
I think our tackling overshadows everything. The Cowboys tackling is awful right now.
Yeah.
The amount of yards, I'd love to see the amount of yards after contact for the Bears, particularly the running game, because we got bullied. We really did get bullied. I said before, our defense revised running game. I think Montgomery had a fair amount of success.
Yeah.
But to see a reincarnated Mitchell Trubisky.
Yes.
We made him look like Lamar Jackson. That's the most embarrassing thing. That's embarrassing. 63 yards and a touchdown on the ground for Trubisky.
Yeah.
What on earth?
That's actually a nice little segue into a point I had, is that, what is our defense doing that the likes of Mitch Trubisky, who has been talked about as potentially being cut or traded out of Chicago, has a great game. Sam Darnold in his first game back both of them look like all pros against our defense. What is going on with our defense?
Our defense breathed life into a guy that was getting slated because of where the Bears took him in the draft. They traded up to get him. He was going to be their future. And on Thursday night, we made that pick look great.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, because somebody's going to bring that offense back down to earth at some point. Frustrating. Frustrating. But just to go back to what I said earlier on, the tackling and the missed tackling, and they seem to find so much space in between. I don't know whether we were playing zone an awful lot or if our man coverage wasn't as tight as it should have been.
Yeah.
When you're struggling to figure out if we're in man or zone, something's broken.
Yeah.
This Chris Richard legacy.
Yes.
let me know when it arrives.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's still on a flight from Seattle. So.
Yeah. I'm in full agreement with you again. I think last year there was an awful lot of smoke and mirrors blown up about Chris Richard and, this Legion of Boom defense. We don't have the same level of players that Legion of Boom defense had. A young Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor. Those guys are streets ahead, and probably still are streets ahead of anything we have on defense.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I don't get the Chris Richard hype. I don't get the calls for him to be made head coach or to get rid of Garrett and bring him in as an interim head coach. I think that would be the stupidest thing we would ever do.
Yeah.
Just because a guy shouts and gesticulates along a sideline and the guys listen to him and look like yes sir, doesn't cut it for me. I think I saw a clip maybe mid-season and it was Jalen, Leighton Van Der Esch and Sean Lee and them nodding along, I'm kind of going like Sean Lee has probably as much intellect as Richard has. He doesn't need to be told how to do the job, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Whenever that plane lands, let us know, please, folks. So again, we failed to stop the run, and you know, I kind of brought up a point last week about are we missing Jeff Heath, you know, but I kind of after we dropped off the call, it came to me, are we actually really missing Tyrone Crawford? Because from what I hear, he seems to be the leader along that line. I know DeMarcus is the captain, but he's the guy that seemed to set the standards to, you know, to kind of hold people accountable. So, are we missing him?
We're missing Crawford.
Yeah.
We're missing our Pro Bowl defensive end, DeMarcus Lawrence, who we gave all that money to.
Yeah.
We're missing our second round pick. Goodness, that looks like a bust right now.
Yeah.
He did play, believe it or not. He was in the game.
Yeah.
For all those who are wondering where, like, oh, he must be on the injury report. He must have been left. No, he was there. He was there. 1 tackle and 1 assist.
Yeah.
Robert Quinn has taken a step back.
Yeah.
Michael Bennett was okay. He was all right. He got his sack. So
yeah.
Bennett okay. But goodness me, we're missing pieces all over the place.
Yeah.
And Crawford is only a segment of needs to be upgraded. Because goodness, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he's missing football.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are missing him, but it's a drop in the ocean on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to improve big time across all 4 positions.
Yeah, like I think it's more a question for the off season with a potential coaching change is what would you do with that defense? I mean, like looking at it, the cornerstones of that defense are right now DeMarcus Lawrence, Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, and 8 other guys. You know, that's moving forward. You know, like we don't have anyone signed long term in the secondary. We're light along the rest of the line. I think we've an awful lot of free agents there. So maybe a coaching change will actually change the philosophy of the defense.
I mean, it's. I agree with you, but we need more from DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
Sorry, like if you want to be one of the cornerstones of our franchise and be paid handsomely, you've got to have more than 1 tackle and an assist.
Yeah.
People knew you were a good player last year, and you still managed plenty of sacks and so on.
Yeah.
I think the biggest red flag on the defense right now is DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had a look at his overall seasonal stats, but I don't see the celebration in the inside the pocket as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You might get double teams, but I'm sure Khalil Mack has seen the odd double team during the season. I'm sure that other pass rushers escape me, but that's not.
Yeah.
The top guys in the league will see double pass rush. But I'm sorry, your weekly wage, that's not an excuse. You need to be one of our guys, and right now, especially on Thursday night, posted missing. Really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think earlier in the season we were being spoiled with Robert Quinn having a breakout and a return to the earlier version of Robert Quinn with the 19 sacks in a season. But I think when we had Brian Broaddus on with us, he did flag it and say, watch for him second half of the season.
Yeah.
There would be a tail off.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there's a tail off. I think looking at it now, I don't think it's coincidental that Quinn started tailing and we went to go for Michael Bennett.
Yeah. I think with him being traded from the Dolphins, there was a rather large chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that chip has fallen off.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, I've done my bit. Where's everybody else? And if he's putting in so much effort and only to see the ball sail over his head into somebody standing in the middle of the field waiting to catch it, you go, well, what am I doing this for? Type idea. So there's a slight element of, so that's why the Dolphins traded him.
Yeah.
Out him at the moment. That's why the Patriots cut Michael Bennett. All the stories coming out now. Like that, I'm a great one for. You don't release good players.
Mm.
The only time you ever see a good player released or traded is cap issues.
Yeah.
But if that player is a cornerstone of your team, you will work a way to keep him on your roster. So, goodness, if they come back, I'll eat my words. If we can get some kind of pulse again from the offensive line, I'll be first. But if Robert Quinn, especially, can muster some, and if DeMarcus Lawrence can get over his wage and his tag, that is, it's kind of like it's like a brick hanging around his throat at the moment. You're the big cheese now. You're the money maker. Where's my sack? Type idea. So, but yeah, he signed the deal. So let's see it.
So if we move along then and just have a quick segue into our special teams with bringing a new kicker on board. I think that should hopefully be a brighter spot next week. But I think I think we might also have punter issues with Chris Jones. Like, I think Chris Jones of 2 years ago has, since Dan Bailey left town, Chris Jones has been a different man. Have you concerns there? Are you worried? Like, I think the only person on our special teams who we can actually say with our hands on our heart we'd be disappointed to see going is LP, who I mean, he's 43 at this stage,
Yeah.
And he's the only reliable one.
Teams that win Super Bowls aren't worried about their punters, are they?
No.
It just it all seems to be getting on top of them right now.
Yeah.
And part is most of it is a shame.
Yeah.
Because they've done it in the past, but it just seems to be piling up right now. You might see Jeff back there one day. You never know. Goodness, he's done everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see him back there. It really wouldn't. I mean, he doesn't need a shoulder to kick, so he'll be all right. But if we lead in then to we did get a couple of mailbag questions in, so the kind of talk on special teams did come from our good friend Paul, who is currently in bed with the man flu.
Yeah. Sure he is.
So another question we received from number one fan of the show, Ken Hughes. Big shout out to Ken, and an advanced happy 50th birthday to Ken this weekend. So his question reads, do you think Jerry already has a replacement lined up for Jason Garrett who isn't available, and that's why Garrett still has a job? And if the trend of our play continues, we get a better draft pick next year for new coach to improve the team with. So I think if we kind of deal with the first part of it is the coach, because I think we all know at this stage that Jerry went off on Jeff Kavanagh on 105.3 The Fan last Friday morning.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think is there a coach that they want that's not available right now, or does Jerry just not want to make the move?
I think the only reason that Jason Garrett is still in the job is because we're top of the NFC East.
Mm-hmm.
If we were third or fourth in the division, they would have an interim in by now.
Yeah.
League rules state that you cannot tamper with another team's coach whilst they're still in season. So I've heard talk of Urban Meyer.
Yeah, I was going to that.
That scares me very much.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that college and NFL coaches cross the divide very well.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly, for instance. You know,
yeah.
I think they have somebody in mind, but they're not allowed to pick up the phone yet, obviously.
Yeah.
My early shout would be Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
He has taken some time out. Has a Super Bowl ring, which we all crave.
Yes.
And he has plenty of experience, and I would imagine that his guys are available one way or another. So a couple of weeks ago, I was all for let's change it while we still can, and see if we can salvage the season. Right? I'm like, nah. Either just stick with Garrett, see how we go on, see if we can steal the division from the Eagles, and we'll figure it out from there. To answer the initial part of the question, I think they have a name or two. Because if they didn't, they might have put an interim in by now.
Yeah.
But there's no point in putting an interim in when he's out the door in a month anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not a great sale, if you know what I mean.
No, I do agree with you, because I think of the names which have been mentioned in terms of a replacement. I think Urban Meyer is the bookies' favourites at 3-1. I would agree. I don't think he's the right man for the job. Josh McDaniels is 4-1, and I think after spending as long as he has in the Bill Belichick front office, I think he might be the ideal candidate. I'm not going to say for certain he is. You know, the fact he had agreed to go to the Colts, was it 2 years ago, and then backed out. I think the Cowboys might be a more attractive proposition for him. Again, Lincoln Riley is the supposed blue-eyed boy who Jerry wants, but he has said he's happy in college, and I can understand why. I mean, the Big 12 is Oklahoma won it for the 5th straight year, you know, so he's not going to leave that number when he knows he has it easy. And a name which did pop up over the weekend was Dan Mullen, who was one certain Rain Dakota Prescott's head coach at Mississippi State. So that might be a name to watch out for.
I just think with college coaches, they have it good in a certain way. You know, they're not necessarily pressured every single week. I think my reservation against bringing in college coaches is they are not up against some of the best athletes in the world every week.
Yeah.
You look at somebody like, the teams down the bottom, the Redskins, the Dolphins, and so on. They still have world-class talent.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you look at Ohio's season or Arkansas's season, you go, these are kids that want to be accountants.
Yeah.
That they're coming up against in certain weeks. So, I can see why college coaches going, nah, it's not for me. I'm quite happy filling out an 80,000 seat stadium and phoning high school kids to come and play and all that. Obviously the pulling power of places like Ohio and Arkansas, they must enjoy that. They must be able to have a certain amount of clout when recruiting every year, and that they're not dealing with salary caps and egos and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, the TV audiences are so much bigger, the spotlight is so much bigger, and you can see why some of them just don't fancy it. Some of them are quite happy. It's changing. It's going to change.
And if we look at the second part of Ken's question, which was in terms of draft capital, so if the worst comes to the worst and we do lose the next 2 games to the Rams and the Eagles, I believe that would put us somewhere in the range of 10 to 16 in terms of a draft pick. What would your thoughts be on that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, especially for the season ticket holders. Yeah. I despise tanking the season.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Especially for guys with so much pride as Zeke Elliott and Prescott and all our winners and so on. What kind of message does that send?
Yeah.
If we go down fighting, fair enough. Like if we lose the next 3 games by 1 to 3 points, we've had a good shot at it, and fair enough. It's a nice result, but it's not going to 10 to 16. That's not blue chip.
Yeah,
it's nicer, but
it is. Yeah,
it's not the be all and end all. Go for the division.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think if they do win out, obviously they're in the 20 to 28 range for their pick. But I think if it was a case, as we say, they did lose the 3 games, and touch wood, they do go down fighting if they do lose all 3 games. That's roughly where they'd end up. So whilst we don't want to see it, obviously, it would be nice for a new head coach coming in if it happened. But
it would be, but you can't go from being the top seed in the division. We are in the wild card round right now.
Yeah.
And to go from wild card round talk to what kind of draft pick can we get? No, that's drastic. That's very, very drastic.
Okay. So if we then move on, Derek Bergman sends us in one. He said, I heard a stat this morning that Dak is 12-1 when rushing for 25 yards and over. Why is it that he doesn't do more often? Seen it time and again this season when he's had the opportunity, but he doesn't take it. So is that on play calling? Is that Dak trying to protect himself, which could be an issue?
Yeah. To me, it's a couple of things. It's Kellen Moore will be in his head saying you have not to scramble. You're not Lamar Jackson. You are not Murray.
Not Josh Allen.
You are a pocket passer, and we want you around. We do not need the next Robert Griffin, where he starts taking off, gets a serious knee injury, and before you know it, you're a backup or out of the league completely. So, while I agree with Derek that opens up a game, if your guys are covered up and Zeke is having to pass block,
Yeah.
For Dak to run and get a fresh set of downs is awesome to see.
Yeah.
I get why they do it, but somebody has taught Kellen Moore in the past that you need a pocket, but your playbook needs a pocket passer.
Yeah.
And if Dak went down,
yeah,
that's it. That's the ultimate nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
But I agree with Derek that things open up when Dak moves, because he's a physical player, and I think I've predicted over the past few podcasts that he could run for a touchdown in certain games.
Yeah.
But I think it highlights the importance of Dak Prescott to the Cowboys offense.
Yeah, like for me looking in at it, I think Dak's natural game is not a pocket passer. I think he does need to have that RPO available to him, and I agree. I would like to see him use the legs in sensible and manageable situations. I don't want to see him taking risks, obviously, because as you say, he's one solid hit away from being a backup, and a career backup at that. Yeah. So if we move,
ideally, I just wonder how many times Dak has made a pass outside the pocket because the pocket has collapsed. Because ideally, you want the Tom Brady style where he takes just about 2 seconds to get rid of the ball, and the D isn't getting anywhere near him.
Yeah,
so that's the ideal scenario. But we're getting carried away. I just wonder how many passes have made outside the pocket because it has collapsed. But yeah, I see why Derek says that, and I agree with him.
Yeah. So question, and big shout out to LDW. Zeke and Jameez Olawale were the only backs we had active for the game on Thursday night. Was that an oversight that we aren't carrying another running back or full back?
I think it has to be.
Yeah,
it's got to be. Like so many positions, running backs are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a blue chip talent like Zeke. Ideally, you let Zeke run for his 100 yards and home with the win.
Yeah.
But we all know that's not the case at the moment.
Yeah.
There was no creditable option.
Yeah.
You couldn't take him out of the game even if you wanted to.
Yeah. Like that was the thing. Like I think Olawale has had less than 10 runs this season, and the pass where he wasn't even looking to see what Dak was doing was his first target all year. Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't understand what Olawale is doing in 53 man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're actually paying him a chunk of change.
Yeah.
And he's just taken up a roster spot.
Yeah.
So then the final question, and again, this is a shout out to LDW. Would you swap Dak Prescott for Jameis Winston?
Well, this is silly season now, isn't it? I mean, what basis? So, why? Because he's brilliant. You mean? I mean, sorry, what? It just turnover Tampa. Is that who we're looking at?
That's it.
I mean, no. Come on, steady the ship. Come on. I mean, I know we're getting.
I think the comment was, and this came in from someone else, was the only category that Winston is outperforming Dak Prescott in is interceptions. So I think we'll swiftly move on from that one. So I think we'll wrap it up at that. So thanks for joining us. So don't forget, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Make sure and give us a follow. My thanks to Graham for joining me tonight. And make sure and tune in then on Thursday night. I think Lauren and 2 other people will be joining for the pre-game show if they've recovered from the man flu.
I feel a cold coming on. Oh.
Good night.